Hello YouTube chess lovers and my friends, this is Gunjan here. Welcome to my second episode of Killer Mini Chess Traps. These practical small traps are very effective in short time control match and especially below 2000 tournaments. They are very cunning and not easy to spot, and that's why you can caught a lot of your opponent off guard and get a winning position just within the opening stage. In this episode, I'm going to show you 3 traps from the white perspective, and the content are as follow. The first trap, which is more common and frequently appear on the board, and that goes with Queens Gambit decline exchange variation, which happens after the move order d4, knight to f6, c4, e6, knight to c3 and d5. We have the QGD on the board. Okay, white exchange in the center with c captures d5, e captures d5, and now the thematic move bishop to g5. So if black is not careful, then white is going to lop off that knight, and either black has to capture with the queen and give up the d5 pawn or completely shatter the king side pawn structure. So accordingly, bishop to e7, saving the threat, and now white liberate his other bishop with e3. Okay, the most natural move in the world, castle on the king side, and now the cunning move bishop to d3, and the trap is set right here. Here the mainline moves are continued with either knight b to d7 or the move c6. However, if you check this position in online database, you will find out that there are actually 382 games start with b6, which in fact one of the most natural move in this position. Black wants to play bishop to b7, knight b to d7, c5, and a kind of Moran structure which gives him a rock solid position. But except there is a huge problem that after this move, white is instantly winning. Before I move on, I like you to pause this video and find out the amazing sequence which gives white a completely upper hand. Okay then, let's start. The first move is very obvious, destroying the defender of the d5 square with bishop captures f6. And after bishop captures f6, white has this lethal blow. Yup, queen to h5. Bam! Well, this queen is attacking 2 spots, h7 as well as d5, and I think h7 is more important because that's threatening a checkmate, and it doesn't matter whether your opponent continue with either the move h6 or g6. Let's say in this game black continue with g6, but now comes queen captures d5, and suddenly just within the 10th move of the game, white emerge with an extra pawn, and with some accurate play, this is easily converted into the full point. So this is one of the cunning trap exist in the Queen's Gambit decline exchange variation, and so far this year there are more than 20 victims, including 12300, fall into this. The second cute trap exists in the French Blackburne variation, which arises after the following move order e4, e6, d4, d5, knight to c3 or knight to d2, doesn't matter. Black intention is he wants to play d captures e4, and after knight captures e4, black follow up with knight to d7. So as you can see, I have highlighted by the arrows, black has a simple plan. He wants to play knight to f6, exchange a pair of knight, and slowly take out all the pieces. Okay, no problem. White will continue with bishop to d3, and after the move knight to f6, I propose this very trappy move, queen to e2. Well, at first sight this looks so stupid, right? Because now black can take this knight, and it doesn't matter however we capture. The best recapture is bishop captures e4, and after that black can play the move knight to f6, not only hitting the bishop but hitting the loose d4 pawn, and it looks like white cannot parry both the threat. Well, in fact, that's the case in the database where I found out 162 games reached to this position, where the matter of fact is it's actually black who has fallen into the white trappy business. Once again, before I move on, I like you to pause this video and find out a sequence where white has a completely upper hand. Are you ready? Did you find this decisive blow? Boom! So suddenly white won a pawn, and more important, white bishop is hitting the rook. So black response is force. Black has to take this bishop, and after that, yup, the easiest pie, queen to b5 check, regaining the piece, and after something like knight to d7 and queen captures b7, not only white emerged with an extra pawn, but black queen side has completely shattered, and once again with some accurate play, white can easily win these positions. So next time when your opponent plays French Blackburne variation against you, don't forget to shock him with this nasty trap. Last but not least, I'm going to show you one of the high profile trap in the Torre Attack, which arises after the following order: d4, knight to f6, knight to f3, e6, and now the typical Torre Attack move, bishop to g5. So this opening is very effective, especially if your opponent is playing the Nimzo Indian setup. White's simple idea is he wants to play e4 and grab the center immediately. So accordingly, black stopped this with d5, controlling the e4 square. And now simply white develop his rest of the army like this: e3, knight b to d7, knight b to d2, c5, c3. So you can see white has created this solid pawn chain, and the most important factor is this bishop is outside the pawn chain. And on the counterpart, black is going to go with this Moran kind of setup with bishop to e7, unpinning the knight, bishop to d3, looking on the black king side, and after black castle and white castle, the only piece hasn't developed in the black camp is bishop. And just like QGD structures, this bishop is going to develop on the b7 square with b6, and after white plays queen to a4, bishop to b7 is a natural response. So this position has been reached many times on the board, where it seems like neither side has an advantage and black is doing quite good. Well, yes, indeed, to some extent it's true, except white has specially prepared this amazing move, knight to e5. So idea is very simple. If black doesn't capture the knight, let's say black continue with some random move, a6, then white's point is he wants to play f4, cement that wonderful knight, and after something like rook to c8 and rook to f3, you can see easiest attacking plan of campaign by white. He wants to play rook to h3, put this queen back on d1 and reroute to the king side, and if it's required, then he can also play g4, g5 and start attacking on the black king, which is always a pleasant scenario for the white camp. So accordingly, at this point, black cannot allow this, and more often or not, black capture on e5. Now, before we look at this line, there is one point I like to highlight here, that if your opponent plays h6, then this trap won't work. But as I mentioned earlier, white plan of campaign will be more or less similar. Anyways, let's check out the most popular choice, knight captures e5, which is more natural in this position. Get rid of that pesky knight, and after the move d captures e5, black has 3 choices, and believe me, all lead to losing position for the black camp. In fact, in the database, there are more than 36 games played from this position where white winning ratio is tremendous. Let me highlight what is the big problem black is facing at this point. The first move I want to consider is knight to d7, which in fact highestly played, but I'm afraid it is the worst move at this position, as after just one move, queen to h4, what a move! We are attacking 2 spots, and by force, black is going to lose whole rook. Yup, you heard it right, the whole rook will be down. Well, how? The easiest answer is, first of all, white is attacking on h7, so by force, black has to stop that threat, and no matter however he defend, let's say h6, but now comes bishop captures e7, not only grabbing a piece, but attacking 2 spots, and when the queen moves anywhere, white will capture the rook, and at the end of the sequence, white will be the whole rook up. I have personally caught few high rank opponents in this line, and I must tell you, it is not easy to spot over the board. Well, the other moves are equally not that great. Simple move knight to e4 is a bad. The reason is, white is come out as a healthy pawn up after the following sequence: bishop captures e7, queen captures e7, knight captures e4, pawn captures e4, bishop captures e4, bishop captures e4, and now queen captures e4. And it turns out that after the whole transaction, white is in a completely driving seat. So that's not something which white is looking for. And the third move, knight to h4, which is in fact the best choice of engine, also not great. The simple reason is, after bishop captures e7, queen captures e7, and the move bishop to e2, that knight doesn't have any back route available. If queen to g5, then f4 is a very strong reply. So accordingly, the best move here is g6, and after that, you can easily guess it. Yup, bishop captures h5, g captures h5, completely ruin down black king side, open up the king, and later on, create a winning attack on that side of the board. So this is one of the high profile trap exist in the Torre Attack, which you definitely want to consider in your FIDE tournament. Well, that's it guys. I hope you enjoy and learn this wonderful episode of Killer Mini Chess Traps. Feel free to like, subscribe and comment on my video, and I'll meet you in my next episode very soon. Bye and take care.